Hello guys, this is going to be a review of the Sennheiser Momentum as well as brief comparisons to the Ferrari T350 and the previously owned M100s. The Sennheiser Momentum is Sennheiser's addition to the lifestyle headphone, and essentially the lifestyle headphone is a headphone that tries to capture and put emphasis towards the style as well as the comfortability and durability of the headphone while placing somewhat decent sonic performance. And examples of that, headphones like the V-Moda crossfades, like the Bowers and Wilkins, Bose, Skull Candies and Beats. However, the majority of those headphones don't really capture an audiophile level of sound quality, and I feel that the Sennheiser Momentum has bridged that gap and brought what I felt a beautiful combination of a stylish piece of audio gear that captures the qualities of an audiophile headphone. Now, Sennheiser is no newbie to the audio game. They're one of the more prestigious companies that have been here for such a long time. They've been known for producing some of the world's finest headphones, such as the HD800s and the Sennheiser Orpheus. So they know their game when it comes to audio equipment. However, the Sennheiser Momentum is a rather beautiful product, if I can kind of sum it up in words, and I'll try to showcase it to the best of my abilities in this review. So to start it off, here's the headphones. As you can see here, this is a rather simple yet absolutely stylish headphone. This is like, it just works. It looks so beautiful in person. I bought the brown color because I felt that it looked more classier as opposed to the more traditional red and black, which is just all over the place in a bunch of other headphones. This really gives back a more retro and sophisticated look. First, I want to tackle a very important aspect, and that is the comfortability of the headphones. This is a rather specific set of headphones in the sense that it's picky with the users that that utilize this headphone. A lot of people have said that the ear cups are too small, therefore their ears kind of get mashed in between the pads. However, these are really nice pads, and this is a realistic leather finish. This is not synthetic leather, however, but the pads are on the small side, and luckily for me, my ears do fit inside. After about 3 hours-ish, I do feel some discomfort in the top back of my ears. However, it's not as bad as, say, the M100s from V-Moda when it had these stock pads installed. These pretty much fit comfortably for me up to about the 3 hour mark, and then I do somewhat feel some slight discomfort. And the head padding up here it may look like it's not comfortable. However, it has some padding, but since the headphones are so light, it really doesn't matter that much because of the weight of the headphones. However, and another thing I like about this is that for aesthetic reasons, since the head pad is rather thin, it doesn't protrude away from the top of your head so much, and it makes the headphones rather blend in with your natural head dimensions, and it doesn't really protrude out of your head so much. And it really leads to a nice and stylish look that these headphones give off. Now, jumping into the sound characteristics of the Momentums, these are really natural and smooth, warm sounding headphones, and this type of presentation is really what I seek for in a headphone, and it's because it plays so well with all of your genres. It really doesn't show any kind of favoritism on a specific genre, such as the Ferraris that I have, the T350s, as well as the previously owned M100s. Those headphones like to favor specific genres because of their unique frequency response. However, these, as you can see from the graph, have a rather neutral response from the bass all the way to a very seamless integration to the mid-range, and a slowly rolling off treble. Now, the treble may seem that it's not balanced, and what this is doing is it's creating a sort of realistic effect as if you're listening to speakers, or if you're in a live performance with instruments and a vocalist. The overtones and the sense of presence in the treble region, especially when it bounces off of the various objects in your environment, it's not going to be as intense as a lot of headphones like to project it. It's going to be subdued in the mix because of the delicacy of those specific frequencies. So the Momentums are trying to capture that natural sound by doing so, and I really feel that these succeed. It really it really gives you a very no listening fatigue sound that you can listen for hours on end, and you won't take these off and your ears are just completely destroyed. The bass presentation on these are slightly elevated, slightly, ever so slightly. It's not as elevated as the T350, for instance, and it's not as ridiculously elevated as the V-Moda M100s. These are nicely elevated to give a more natural bloom to the instruments, such as like your bass guitars, and the lower overtones of a human voice. It really provides a nice natural sense. In terms of its tightness, it's really good. It's also really fast. It's a really nice and smooth and clear bass presentation. Moving over to the mid-range, the integration, like I said previously, is really smooth. There's no oddities in the mix. It doesn't have any overbearing sense as it moves over to the mid-range. The vocals are really nice and fleshed out. They feel so full of life, just the way I love them. It really pops out, and you can hear the difference between a specific set of overtone in the singer's voice. Pretty much if they're hitting a certain high note or if they're stressing in their vocals, you hear all these little subtleties that a lot of headphones really don't capture because of their giant emphasis on the bass and the treble region. So a lot of vocals and instruments come through so lively and full of energy and naturalism when you're listening to these headphones. Moving over to the treble, even though in the frequency response graph it does look like it's sort of dull and rolled off, the treble is actually present. It has a nice sparkle to it. However, it doesn't overemphasize itself and, you know, rear end leading to listening fatigue. The treble is actually, it's not as airy as the T350s, for instance, but it's adequate. It's an adequate presentation of the treble that doesn't add any sibilance to the vocals or any harsh edges or bites to certain specific instruments and overtones. This is a very beautiful and very warm and lush sounding headphone that just works with all genres. It really doesn't, I really can't say that this is just meant for a specific genre. This will play all of your music, and at its best of its abilities, it will try to disappear and just let you and the music just be one. Now, in comparison to the other headphones, the Ferrari T350s, which are over here, feature a more U-shaped sound signature that is geared towards specific types of genres such as EDM, like drum and bass, let's see, techno and hip hop and dubstep. Those type of genres would benefit from this kind of a sound signature. However, if you're listening to a lot of genres, especially genres that have a lot of natural acoustical instruments where you can kind of differentiate and tell the flaws of its renderation, these headphones fall flat compared to the Momentums. These pretty much just sound artificial. The M100s, those now are even worse in their presentation in comparison to these because of the M100's giant bass emphasis, as you can see from this graph. The bass is ridiculously overemphasized. However, it's not like it's completely, like, it has no control. It has control, but it's just so much emphasis, it really covers up the resolution and the fidelity in the mid-range, especially the very subtle, you know, changes in tonality and the very subtle details and textures that really captivates and presents a natural presentation in your music. So the M100s are not resolving enough for me. They just don't have that clear sound that I yearn for, so which is why I no longer own them. However, those are really good headphones if you listen to just primarily a lot of, you know, modern music like synthesized music such as drum and bass and hip hop, and you're really not into, you know, listening to acoustical music like jazz, you know, vocal trance and other natural and acoustical based music. The Ferraris, on the other hand, they fare better in terms of their versatility. However, being that the treble is kind of like, it's emphasized, it does bring forth some sibilance to the vocals that really do begin to annoy me because it doesn't really give you that sense of disappearance that the headphones are no longer part of the music. It really reminds me of listening to a pair of headphones because the vocals just don't sound as natural as I want. And another drawback, which is not necessarily part of its acoustic presentation, is the size of these headphones. These are really huge headphones. In comparison to these, as you can see, these headphones are really huge on the head. They look absolutely bulky. And another thing I don't like about these are the fact that it uses AAA batteries. And this is a necessity. If these die, you no longer can hear any music. And this is to both power the noise cancellation as well as the built-in amplifier. And noise cancellation leads are rather good, but it's not like the Momentums are, that far off in their ability to passively, isolate you from the ambience when you're outside. And the fact that they don't have any noise cancellation means that there's no background hiss and no distortion to the music in low quiet passages in your specific song. So with these, the noise cancellation, you do hear a hiss, and it's a permanent hiss as long as the cancellation feature is on. And like I said previously, you cannot utilize this headphone without that active noise cancellation turned on. So you kind of have a permanent level of distortion, but it's not prominent until you listen to a lot of quiet music where it's like a lot of silent passages, and you're just gonna hear this hissing away. Other than that, I do enjoy the sound characteristics of the Ferraris. It's really good for drum and bass and, like I said, specific genres. However, it's not an all-arounder headphone. It doesn't really capture the naturalness and the tonality that I yearn for in making an all-around headphone. Now back to the Momentums. These, like I said previously, they capture exactly what I look for in a headphone. It has a beautiful, classy, and elegant design, as you can see. And it's just, for me, it's comfortable. So this is pretty much the iffy part of this headphone, and it's just the comfortability of whether or not these can fit your ears. If they fit your ears, you're just be ready to be blown away by a very natural and full of life sound. So if this video review of the M100s, actually the Momentum, has not covered any specific concerns or questions, feel free to post them in the bottom below, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Later.